I sat on the couch. The house was silent. And suddenly, out of nowhere, a tsunami of emotions erupted out of me. For years, I thought I was fine. After all, I'm not the one who endured the trauma. My husband, a police officer, he was the one who worked on all those difficult files, seeing and hearing things that most of us couldn't even imagine having to deal with. But as I sat there on the couch, alone, I realized I was not okay. And I hadn't been for a while. What I was experiencing is something called secondary trauma, a little-known condition that affects people close to those who are experiencing trauma or post-traumatic stress disorder. And while we talk about PTSD and how it impacts the person experiencing the trauma, we rarely talk about the effects on those closest to them. It's these who bear a quiet, invisible burden. My husband was always very dedicated to his work as a police officer. He would come home with stories of how he stopped traffic to help a family of ducks cross the road, or the 911 call he attended to help a little old lady out of her jacket when she got stuck in it. But while working on one particular file, something changed. He became distant, irritable, always exhausted. At first, I thought, he's under a lot of stress. He's working long hours. He's tired. Police work is demanding and stressful. But as time went on, things got worse. He became more distant, more angry. One night, something in him snapped, and he started to yell at me uncontrollably, like he had never done before. For the first time in all of our years together, I felt scared and helpless. Not scared of him, but scared for him and the emotions he was holding inside. That night, he left the house, and I found myself worrying about things I never had to think about before. Was he okay? Was he going to harm himself? I contemplated calling the police to find him, but he came home after about half an hour. We both realized that night how deeply his work was affecting him. And unknowingly, it was beginning to affect me too. The next day, my husband reached out for help. 2 years passed, and we were getting by day to day. He was diagnosed with PTSD, and I felt like I was always walking on eggshells, hyper aware of what mood he was in, always watching his behavior. I had this constant worry that he might be thinking of ending his life. He would tell me he wasn't, but my mind was playing tricks with me. What if he's hiding it? Would he tell me the truth? How would I know? I've heard spouses of first responders who have taken their lives say there were no signs. They had no idea it had gotten that bad, so how would I know? If he was fixing something around the house, I would wonder, is he just getting the house ready for when he's gone? I heard somewhere people do this before taking their lives. I was consumed by fear and anxiety, and it was affecting my health. After 8 years of remission, my autoimmune disorder, ulcerative colitis, came back. I was losing sleep, and when I did sleep, having nightmares. I couldn't focus on my business, and it was starting to suffer. I was in a downward spiral. In January of 2023, my husband went to a trauma recovery center for 9 weeks. And for the first time in years, I felt like he was somewhere safe. That's when it hit me. Sitting there, alone on the couch, emotions pouring out of me, everything I was holding inside releasing. How did his trauma become my trauma? And how did that make me feel? Guilty. Deep, profound shame. How dare I feel this way? I'm not the one who experienced the trauma. How can I feel like this? I went online and I couldn't find anything to explain what I was experiencing. I talked to other people and they didn't understand. And then I found an online support group for spouses of first responders with PTSD. It was there that I first heard the term secondary trauma. Other people were feeling the same way I was. I wasn't alone. It was validating. But the quest to find real help was not so easy. I went to a therapist, and when I told her my fears that my husband would take his life, she said, "Teri, if he wants to take his life, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't hold him here." Can you imagine hearing that? I didn't go back after the first session. Then I found another therapist, and she just kept asking me, "How does that make you feel? Where do you feel that in your body?" It made me feel irritated. And I felt it in my wallet. Finally, I found the right therapist for me. He was a trauma specialist, and he understood exactly what I was experiencing. He gave me tools and strategies to help me heal. And when I told him how guilty I felt for being in therapy for a trauma that wasn't even mine, he said, "Teri, everyone minimizes their trauma." I had a veteran in session this morning who said, "I shouldn't need therapy. I only fought in Iraq. It's not like it was Vietnam." When I shared that with my husband, he said, "I tell my therapist the same things." Most importantly, he helped me to see that my feelings were just as real and just as valid as my husband's. Along this journey, I have learned some powerful lessons. First, trauma has a ripple effect. It doesn't end with the person who's experiencing the trauma. Like throwing a pebble into a pond, it starts in the middle and spreads to everyone around them. Second, it's okay to not be okay. Whether you're experiencing trauma firsthand or you're supporting someone who is, your feelings are valid. There are no trophies for being a martyr, and you don't need to justify getting help. Secondary trauma is a societal issue. Think about the caregivers in your life, the spouse of a first responder, the parent of a child with a chronic illness, the friend supporting someone through addiction. These people may be suffering in silence and feel unworthy of the help that they need. We can change this. By talking about secondary trauma and making it okay to not be okay, we can create a world where caregivers feel validated, supported, and given the tools they need to heal. Today, I am in a much better place. I have learned how to take care of myself while still supporting my husband and what he needs, and we're healing together. I've let go of the guilt. It hasn't been easy, but I know healing is possible. And for anyone out there experiencing your own tsunami of emotions dealing with someone else's pain, or maybe you know someone who's experiencing the same thing, know that you are not alone. You can get help, and you don't need to feel guilty about it. Trauma may have a ripple effect, but so does healing. Let's throw our own pebble into the pond and create a ripple of healing. Thank you.